All right, testing, testing. Seems like my mic is working. So I'm gonna go ahead in. This is Shokar Cabral from GMS Virginia. And Lord, I'm gonna start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakodash, Zalaki. Second, one, give double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule of well. And peace, blessings, salutations to the whole faith elect. It consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Lord, will you be edified? Topic is how did I state it? Expresses truth and other topics. I'm gonna start off in Matthew's the 13th chapter, and let's see where this takes us. Thing I'm gonna say as well is, um, if you really are in tune with this truth, and if you really, pretty much have faith, it's a certain way, demeanor, and characteristics you'll have. So let's go into this. This is where I'm gonna start. All right, so Matthew 13 and 11. I'm just start at 11 and go from there. So it says, Yahushua answered, the knowledge about, this is in the GNT, the knowledge about the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. And let me just start off by saying, one thing that's beautiful and precious is that the ones that are in the know, to know who we are, our identity, what's about to come, because what is it, the 27th? What is it, roughly 4 more days, if I'm not mistaken, or what is it, I don't, what is it, 31 days in December? Maybe what, roughly 4 or 5 more days to the so-called new year. And we know for sure, we know for certain, next year is going to be very bad, as we've been prophesying, starting with our elders on down, the destruction of America, the setting up of the New World Order, and the turning of things. Things are going to turn for the worst. They get bad. The mirth is gone. The love of many have waxed cold, and pretty much there's no love out here. Men and women are at odds. The little children and adults are at odds. There's no communities. There's no basically there's no safe haven. But the ones that know our safe haven is what? Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And roughly the brothers you fellowship with, which is our family, our true families. One thing I got to say too, man, this affiliate thing, so-called affiliate thing, and pretty much the order's been set. We're not dealing with no more affiliates. Well, one thing I can remember, what is it, roughly, I think 2012, hold on. I want to say 2011, 10. I wasn't in America. And one thing for certain, how was it? I'm trying to remember. Basically, the notion was if there was a camp around you, okay, you going there. There's no second guessing. You would do whatever you had to do what it takes to get by the nearest camp. So this new notion of things of, you're just happy to be an affiliate, or you're just happy to, pretty much try to do your own thing. You don't want to come underneath orders. That's, that was like a no-go back in the day. Even, growing up, in the world, it was, if there was something that was hot, you wanted to be close to it. You wanted to be there. You wanted to see it live. You wanted to be a part of it, But again, this is a new generation, but things are not changing for the new generation. We're doing it the way of the things of old. So if you're not down, basically you're not trying to come underneath order. You just, it is what it is. But again, Yahweh shall answer the knowledge about the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. So just to say that is, if to that you have woken up from the darkness of this world, which gross darkness plagues this earth, and you still have a problem with following the order and getting right in line, and basically trying to figure things out on how to be in order. I mean, really, you're still in that gross darkness, because everything you do in this world has to do with some type of structure and order. So 12, for the person has something will be given more, so that he will have more than enough. But the person who has nothing would have taken away from him even the little he has. But the reason I use parables and talking to them is that they look but do not see, and they listen but do not hear or understand. So the prophecy of Isaiah applies to them. So it's the reason why the Lord spoke to the Israelites in parables, and because pretty much it goes back to it's going to say this: people will listen and listen but not understand. They will look and look but not see, because their minds are dull, and they have stopped up their ears and have closed their eyes. Otherwise, their eyes would see, their ears would hear, their minds would understand, and they would turn to me, says Yahweh, and I would heal them. So we understand it's been a prophecy that talks about the 2/3, which they would act as if they're listening or understanding or whatnot, or they would just look at this truth for entertainment. But overall, their minds are dull. So, I'm going to continue on to 16. As for you, how fortunate you are, the elect and the ones that know. So it's a certain way, you know, it's like a how you say enthusiasm will show. Your eyes see and your ears hear. I assure you that many prophets and many of Yahweh's people wanted very much to see what you see, but they could not, and to hear what you hear, but they did not. But here we are, these people, guys, men, whatever, that claim to be men of the Lord, but again, they don't want to have structure or order. They pretty much want to do their own thing. And this is why, unfortunately, a lot of sloppiness and just weird, fucked up behavior and things starts to happen, because again, there's no order and structure, and this want to be cool thing. Basically, going into the term being nice, you want to just be nice and be cool. Like, but the saying is, you be too cool, you're gonna lose. So let me get this real quick. Cause one thing for certain, these affiliates and these guys that don't want to come underneath order, they think, you know, they basically what's the word? They think they're gonna be able to slide and pass a lot of weird behavior, or just pretty much, be their own management. But I'm gonna just bring this out. What? Uh, Too nice. Let me see something. All right, so I put in ChatGPT. What are some bad things that can happen being too nice? Um, and this is what it brought forth, because a lot of um, guys will probably say, "Oh, being at camps or mainly GMS, you know, oh, Elder Tahar, Elder Gabar, Elder Ariam Lab, Elder Rakar, etc. They're mean, they're cruel, they're, such and such, blase, blase. But not understanding what's really goes on. A lot of things happen. A lot of things are going to breed. A lot of things are going to be brought forth. A lot of things just happen. We're in Babylon the Great. We all come from fucked up ways of life. But I'm gonna go in. It says being too nice isn't a bad trait by itself, but when when it has no boundaries, it can lead to some real problems. Here are some common downsides explained simply. And even when you go into the word nice, to the word Edom online, it tells you, being nice is really stupidity. Now, number one, it says people may take advantage of you. If you always say yes, some people may rely on you unfairly or use your kindness without giving anything back. So, a lot of these guys that they don't want to come underneath order, or they don't want to come underneath structure. You want to be cool, you want to be nice, you just want to. Basically, you want to be a part of that order and that structure, so you can learn as well. Because again, this notion in America is all about love, feeling good, being happy all the time, letting things ride, letting certain things ride, and just being nice and being cooperative. That doesn't really get you nowhere. Here it is, everything is complete backwards here in America. Number two, your needs get ignored. You might focus so much on making others happy that your own feelings, needs, or goals get pushed aside. Three, it can lead to burnout. Constantly helping, agreeing, or pleasing others can be exhausting and stressful over time. And this is why ultimately, being in order, being in structure, having structure, you have to set things up in a certain manner, a certain manner in certain ways. Gotta have leaders. You gotta have men. You gotta have chiefs. You gotta have officers. It has to have a ranking system. But I'm not here to try to show men how to govern a camp, but overall the importance of being in line, being a part of something, so you can learn these things. Because you want to be a part of a family, but again, you know, I don't know, man. This new generation, these new dudes, these men that call themselves Israelites, it's just different. A lot of weird behavior. Four, others may not respect you as much. If you never stand up for yourself, people might see you as someone they don't have to take seriously. And again, a lot of things just happen, And if you don't have, how you say, an order to things, then these things will happen. Five, you may avoid important conflicts. Being overly nice can mean avoiding honest conversations. Even when something is wrong, it needs to be addressed. Six, you might feel resentful inside. Saying yes when you want to say no can build up frustration, even if you don't show it. It can affect your confidence. Always putting others first can make you doubt your own opinions or feel like they don't matter. Um, Important note, kindness is the strength. The key is balance, kindness, being nice, and having boundaries. You can be respectful and caring while still saying no, speaking up, and protecting your time and your feelings. But again, it's a certain way to things. And I find it ironic that this is such a problem for men to pretty much get in order while we have the truth, we have this knowledge. So continuing on, let me see, verse 18. Listen then and learn what the parable of the sword means. Those who hear the message about the kingdom but do not understand it are like the seeds that fell along the path. The evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in them. The seeds that fell on rocky ground stand for those who receive the message gladly as soon as they hear it, but it does not sink deep into them. Now, this is another thing that happens. And if you're not really, if you're just some Johnny come lately, a guy that you don't want to come underneath no type of order, well, you can roughly run into a guy that seems as if he's enthusiastic and ambitious and have drive, but you don't understand that this truth did not sink deep within. It's like you got a guy from Charlotte. Here it is. His whole thing was he want to go work, and now he wants to pretty much camp hop. He wants to go somewhere else. Well, here it is. You letting the guy in, but his whole mission, his determination is not to be an Israelite. His whole determination is to get whatever he wants in this world to suit his ego. But you're going to allow him because you're nice, want to be nice, and you don't know how certain things move and operate. You just let this guy in. A lot of guys drop out, fall out for certain reasons, and then they go to these you guys that they don't, you know, you don't want to be in no type of order. You want to do your own thing, and you don't know what's going on, and you just let this guy come in, and now here it is. All of a sudden, you got problems amongst y'all. Well, there's a certain way you have to move in this truth because you got to remember we're in an evil world. Bad things are happening, a lot of weird behavior. We come from a world and where Esau has pretty much attacked the whole earth in complete gross darkness. 20. So the seeds that fell on rocky ground stand for those who receive the message gladly as soon as they hear it. So those that receive this message, it's going to be a certain way they're going to move and conduct themselves, and they're going to fall right in line in order. 21. But it does not sink deep into them, and they don't. Salaki. I think I read this again. Damn, my bad. I'm gonna start this over again. 20. The seeds that fell on rocky ground stand for those who receive the message glad as soon as they hear it, but it does not sink deep into them, and they don't last long. So, my bad. I thought I was reading another part, but yeah, these are the guys that will hear about this truth, and they don't last long. So when trouble or persecution comes because of the message, they give it up at once. Yeah. So you have guys that's going to act as if they're glad to hear about this thing. They're going to sojourn for a little bit, but then eventually what's going to happen? They're going to fall off because things that happen in this world, the chaos of this world, the effects, tribulation, and another thing too, persecution. And what's going to eventually happen? They're just going to forget about it. And this is the reality of things, and especially 2026. A lot of things are going to happen. Shalaka, do that sneeze. Salaki. As the year year 2025 is here about to end, and here year 2026 is approaching. I think a lot of men are going to start falling off, and Lord's will, we aren't those men. 22. The seeds that fell among thorn bushes stand for those who hear the message, but the worries about this life and for the love for riches choke the message. Guy in Charlotte, and they don't bear fruit. Let me get this real quick. Second Timothy. I think it's this one. Yep. Second Timothy. All right, so I'm gonna start at the first verse. 2 Timothy 2:1, and this is in the GNT. As for you, my son, be strong through the grace that is ours in union with Hamashiach Yahushai. Take the teaching that you heard me proclaim, the presence of many witnesses, and entrust them to reliable people who will be able to teach others also. There you go. You have to be reliable. And, a man that's reliable, is a man that, how you say, what's the word I can use? A man that's reliable will show certain traits about him that he can be found reliable. But a guy that has a problem with things and how things move, certain orders, certain structure, you know, have a problem with what's required, he's unreliable. Pretty much, guys like that you don't want around. Because again, this is all about feeding Yahushua's sheep. Here it is, Yahushua laid the blueprint, he laid the foundation, and we have to be as Yahushua. We had to complete, pretty much, we had to take our cross and then do what? Complete our term. He bared his cross, we had to bear our cross. And we understand this life is not of ours. We are dead to this world. We've been cut from a different cloth to do a different deed and a mission. So we can't be entangled with this world. So here it is. The fact that Yahushua allowed us to be around men that are like-minded like us and be like a family. What's the problem? I don't get it sometimes. So it says, verse 3, take your part in suffering as a loyal soldier of Hamashiach Yahushua. A soldier on active duty wants to please his commanding officer and so does not get mixed up in the affairs of civilian life. There you go. Civilian life is what? Let me see something. Just ask ChatGPT. What is civilian life? I'm not gonna read the whole thing. So, what is civilian life? Civilian life means living as a regular person in society, not as part of the military, police, or other armed or combat-related roles. So, in civilian life, people typically go to school or work regular jobs like teachers, doctors, artists, engineers, live with family or on their own, follow everyday laws and routines, take part in community activities, hobbies, and social life. So, pretty much, in short, civilian life, everyday non-military life. So you just caught up in what's going on, and we understand here in America, things change. Things change constantly. So you're more so worried about your job, your life, and whatever the pleasures of this life, like the scripture says. The friendship of this world and enmity with the Yahweh and Yahushua, because you're what? You're caught up in the affairs of this life. So again, 5, an athlete who runs in a race cannot win the prize unless he obeys the rules. The farmer who has done the hard work should have the first share of the harvest. Think about what I'm saying, because the Lord will enable you to understand it all. See that? So again, going back to Matthew 13. Let me see. Where was I? So 23. I'm going to start at 22 again. The seeds that fell among thorn bushes stand for those who hear the message, but the words about this life and the love for riches choke the message. I'm going to take 3 weeks off from my job, or I'm not going to pretty much bend or make any adjustments to this truth because I have a good job, or I love my job. They allow me to make good money, drive fancy cars, and get the women, a lot of beautiful women, etc. And they don't bear fruit. 23, and the seeds sown in the good soil stand for those who hear the message and understand it. They bear fruit, some as much as 100, others 60, and others 30. So again, the parable of the weeds, Yahweh told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like this. A man sowed good seed in his field one night when everyone was asleep. An enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the plants grew and the heads grain began to form, then the weeds showed up. The man's servants came to him and said, "Sir, it was good seed you sowed in your field. Where did the weeds come from?" "It was some enemy who did this," he answered. "Do you want us to go and pull up the weeds?" They asked him. "No," he answered, "because you because as you gather the weeds, you might pull up some of the wheat along with them. Let the wheat and the weeds both grow together until harvest. Then I would tell the harvest workers to pull up the weeds first, tie them in bundles and burn them, and then go to gather the wheat and put them in my barn. So again, you know, um, let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna continue on. 31. Yahushua told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like this: a man takes a mustard seed and sows it in the field. It is the smallest of all seeds, but when it grows up, it is the biggest of all plants. It becomes a tree so that the birds come and make their nests in its branches. And how you say, pretty much it showed you the importance of this truth and having that faith. Because go back to Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter as well. Let me get this. Come on, shit done froze up. I'm gonna jump around. Hold on. $34, and I'm gonna jump down to 36. So Yahushua used parables to tell all these things to the crowds. He would not say a thing to them without using a parable. He did this to make come true what the prophet has said. I will use parables when I speak to them. I will tell them things unknown since the creation of the world, and it's beautiful. The fact that we got the truth, and the other, basically the 2/3 don't, and the heathens, they don't know what's going on. But hopefully we are those men, the 1/3, the elect. We understand these messages, these parables. 36. When Yahushua had left the crowd and gone indoors, his disciples came to him and said, "Tell us what the parable about the weeds in the field means." Going back up to what is it, 31? No, Mount Slaki. Going to verse 24 to 30. So it says, "Tell us." 37. Yahushua answered, "The man that sees is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed is the people who belong to the kingdom. The weeds are the people of who belong to the evil one." So again, you're going to have us pretty much out here amongst this world, and the Lord's going to provide for us, and the Lord's going to, how you say, guide us to the kingdom. And we, again, you have the 2/3 out here, and you also have who, these people, basically the 2/3 that are amongst that's been, well, pretty much what of that Slaki, that is of this world, who have been misled by the so-called white man, this world, the Edomites. So it says, and the enemy who sowed the weeds is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the workers and the harvest workers are angels. And we understand when Yahushua comes back, he's going to pretty much do what? Make a separation. He's going to save the elect, and he's going to what? When the nuclear missiles hit America, the 2/3 are going to be burned up, and of the other inhabitants of America. So it says, just as the weeds are gathered up and burned in the fire, so the same thing will happen the end of the age, because we understand America is going to be burned down, but be destroyed by nuclear missiles. It's going to be the lake of fire. And when Yahushua comes back, he's coming back with the multitude of the angels. So the Son of Man will send out his angels, Yahushua, to gather up out of his kingdom all those who cause people to sin and all the others who do evil things. Esau and the 2/3, he's going to pretty much destroy them in the lake of fire. And they will, and we also understand that what is it? Even our homeland is going to be destroyed, rid of those the Amy and the Tiny Hats, and they would throw them into the fiery furnace where they will cry and gnash their teeth. Then Yahweh's people will shine like the sun, the elect in their Father's kingdom. Listen then, if you have ears. Going on 44, the kingdom of heaven is like this, and man happens to find a treasure. A man happens to find a treasure hidden in the field. He covers it up again, and it's so happy that he goes and sells everything he has, and then goes back and buy that field. Because you gotta understand, this divine message that we've been given is a great treasure. The parable of the pearl 45. Also, the kingdom of heaven is like this: a man is looking for fine pearls, and when he finds one that is unusually fine, he goes and sells everything he has and buys that pearl. Let me see. The parable of the net. Also, the kingdom of heaven is like this: some fishermen throw their net out in the lake and catch all kinds of fish. When the net is full, they pull it to the shore and sit down to divide the fish. The good ones go into the buckets. The worthless ones are thrown away. It will be like this at the end of the age. So again, you're going to have, a lot of Jakes, and again, you can also go into men that know that they're Israelites. They're going to pretty much come in, sow discord, have problems. They're going to have problem with order. They're going to lead people away, be blind as hell, and they're going to lead other blind men away. And that's how it's going to be. So it says, and here it is, they come off as a sheep, but they're really wolf in sheep clothing. As you can see, the guys of Genesis, false leaders, ISUPK, Nate, and other men that call themselves Israelites, man. And it's a lot of guys that again, these so-called affiliates, men that act as if they're brothers, but ultimately they have a problem inwardly because they don't want to come underneath order or structure. So it said, when the net is full, they pull it to the shore and sit down to divide the fish. The good ones go into the buckets, the worthless ones are thrown away. And it will be like this at the end of the age. The angels will go out and gather up the evil people from among the good and will throw them into the fiery furnace where they will cry and gnash their teeth. So, Slaki, verse 51, I'm going to do you understand these things? How should I ask them? Yes, they answer. So he replied, this means then that every teacher of the law who becomes a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like a homeowner who takes new and old things out of his storage room. So again, this truth is, at the end of the day, this truth is very precious. And a man of the Lord shows a certain traits and characteristics, etc. But you're going to have others that call themselves men of the Lord, and then inwardly they really don't believe in Yahweh Shem Shah. They're just wicked niggas that's really using this truth for their own ego and their own ulterior motives and ulterior gains. But I'm going to wrap this thing up. Lord's will was edified. With that, I'm going to say shalom.